Welcome back to In Pursuit 360. And today we are going to take care of part 3 of the series. What characteristics is a police job interview panel looking for in your answers? So again, part 3, this is decision making. Let's get into it. And here we go. So part 3 is problem solving or decision making, kind of the same thing, right? So the characteristics that they're looking for in the answers for the scenarios or the questions that they ask you on a police job interview panel are 3 things, right? So leadership, we've already talked about that. Communication, your ability to communicate, which includes receiving the information. And the last one's going to be your problem solving or decision making process. These are things that they're going to be looking for in your answers. So when they ask you a question like, give us an example of situation where you had to deal with a confrontation, or while at work you had a confrontation with a customer or a fellow employee or a supervisor, or while you were in school you had a confrontation with a teacher or a fellow student, and how did you resolve it? Okay, so there you go. How did you resolve it? So in other words, what was your decision making process? How did you problem solve that situation? This is key, along with the other 2 components, because that's what law enforcement officers do on a regular basis. We problem solve. We make decisions quickly based off of our knowledge, the policy, procedures, and the law, right? So they're looking for your problem solving skills. So what are your problem solving skills? You need to think about this while you're kind of coming up with these answers. Remember, do not walk into an interview blind. I have given you many possible sample questions and theories behind how to answer them. So what you really should be doing is while you're watching these, hit pause, write down the question, and then you can either come back to it later or right in that moment, think about 2 or 3 different scenarios that you can come up with for answers, and then make sure they meet the 3 characteristics: leadership, communication, problem solving, or decision making. Okay, so the theory behind it, or the things that you need to think about for problem solving or decision making, is you have to identify the current problem, right? So what is the issue in whatever scenario you come up with? So what is the problem? I don't know, they're picking on me, or they tend not to leave me alone, or they're constantly making fun of me to other people, right? Okay, so now that's your problem, right? Now you've identified it. What different processes did you go through to think of to try to resolve it? Did you go talk to them in person? Did you do it privately, or did you do it in front of a group, right? So if you do something privately, people have it less likely, they're not trying to show off, right? They're not trying to showboat in front of other people. So they're less likely to have a negative reaction to you. Whereas if you call them out in public in front of everybody, you call them out in front of their friends, then they're more likely to, they have to respond in a way where they're still going to be cool, right? Their friends won't lose respect for them, type of thing. So it's no different in law enforcement. If you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to give them some bad news, or you're going to tell them that they're wrong, basically, right, and that they need to fix their stuff, or you're going to have to do something, you need to do that in a way that it's not broadcast in front of all their friends, because they will showboat. Especially in today's society, they will showboat just to show their friends what a badass they are, right? And how they can stand up to the man, stand up to the cops, right? Because we don't know what we're doing. And you see it in society all the time. And this is when these dummies end up getting hurt, because we know what we can do, right? Believe it or not, we've been educated, regardless of a comment that was just made a couple days ago. The cops are the ones that always break the law. No, we're not. We're the ones that are always enforcing the law. It's the citizens that think they know what they can and can't do, and then they want to fight the man, right? They want to resist. They want to give us a hard time. They want to show off in front of their friends, and then they get hurt. And then it's like, oh, police brutality. So remember, you've got to be able to control this. One of the ways that we can control this in society is, remember, as much as you hate to admit it, these people are people too, okay? No matter how big of a dirtbag they are, no matter how many laws they've broken, no matter what their criminal record is, no matter what they say to you, no matter what they call you, no matter what they say they've done with your family members, they slept with your sister last night, it doesn't matter. They are people too, and you need to treat them that way. There's got to be a certain amount of respect. You've got to be the bigger person. So in your decision making, problem solving, you need to make sure to acknowledge the fact that, look, no matter what's going on, one, I'm probably going to try to get this person off on their own to speak to them individually so that they don't feel like they have to show off in front of their friends. Two, I'm going to remember, regardless of what they've done to me or regardless of what they've done to somebody else, they're still a human being and they deserve at least a certain amount of respect. They should be talked to in a certain tone, in a certain way. Um, Believe it or not, and see, now we go back to communication, see how they're all linked in. So in your problem solving, you pull them aside, you talk to them about it. Now, what if that doesn't work? Then what do you do? What's your next step? Well, as a civilian dealing with something like in school or at work, then do you go to your supervisor, make your supervisor aware? And then see what action they take. What if your supervisor doesn't do enough? Do you go up to the next step? Do you understand the chain of command? Your problem solving decision making. Do you understand the chain of command? If this doesn't work, then you go to here. If that doesn't work, then you go to here, right? It's a step process. It's no different out on the street. So if you go to a situation and you're trying to deal with it, maybe you can't get them to understand they got to turn their music down. Your partner shows up. Maybe let your partner come in and talk to them. Maybe, I don't know, they just don't like you. Doesn't matter why. They've just decided that you were the first one there telling them they need to turn down their music and they just don't like you for it. Your partner shows up kind of playing the cool guy, or maybe he plays the bad cop and kind of gets in their stuff like, I'm going to end up having to throw you in jail. You won't turn your stuff down. All right, fine. We'll turn it down. It's not a disrespect to you, but sometimes people don't like the initial contact. So you have to go to that next level. Maybe it's your partner, right? And they'll teach you about that when you're doing interview techniques. Like two of you show up to an interview, you start talking to the suspect, your partner's the cover officer standing over here, and all of a sudden they want to start talking to your partner, then you need to just back off naturally because now they've established a rapport. You become cover, they become contact, right? It's just the way it goes. Some people just like talking to other people for some reason. You've got to be okay with that. So throw these things into your answer for problem solving, right? For decision making. Why did you make this decision? Why do you think that helped solve the problem? Maybe it didn't solve the problem. Then tell them why not. Maybe you didn't have supportive supervision. Maybe supervision was best buddies with this person. Maybe the teacher said, well, since I didn't actually see the behavior, there's really not a lot I can do for it, but I'll keep an eye on it. And it doesn't change and they don't really keep an eye on it. I mean, whatever that scenario plays out to be, just give them the honest answer. But like I said, you need to think about what these questions are and have some things in mind. I'm not telling you to rehearse and have a prepared scripted answer. You've got to be able to kind of think on the cuff, because what if they don't give you the exact question? What if they give you a variant of the question? You can still use the scenario, but you need to throw in something else. You need to think about all of the nuances of that situation. How many different ways can you use it? Can that scenario be used to answer if they want to know about a leadership situation? Can it be used if they want to know about showing your ability to communicate? And then can it be used to show where you've had to make a decision or you had to solve a problem? Maybe they're individual ones. Maybe you got one's a really good leadership one, but not so much in problem solving. You got one that's great problem solving, but not so much in leadership or communication. They do exist. You need to have several options available and think in advance to what these things are going to be. So that's about it, right? I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about problem solving. Problem solving is solving a problem. Decision making. Why did you make the decision you made? What were the things that went into the process of making that decision? I tell all of my security officers now that any decision they make, they have to be able to articulate why. Articulation is the key to successful prosecutions in law enforcement, successful defense against civil suits, successful justification for any of your actions, especially in use of force reports. Articulation, you've got to be able to articulate the facts. Exactly what happened, and then why you made the decisions that you made. What are the policies and procedures that back you up in security? What are the post orders that back you up? What are the state laws, federal laws, and case law that back you up? You have to be able to articulate this. If you can't articulate it, then how in the world did you make the right decision? In order to make the right decision, you need to know all these things, right? So in this decision-making, problem-solving part of the characteristics of your answers, make sure you articulate, verbalize why you decided to do what you did, or why you decided that that was the way to solve the problem or the issue that you were dealing with in that scenario. So these are your scenarios, not mine. I can't give you those answers. However, what I can do is try to guide you into the thought process, right? The thought process of how to answer these questions. So that's going to be it for today. So that's your problem solving. Think these things out in advance. Give them some real consideration. Write them out. Test your answers out with a friend. Test your answers out with me over at SpartanTrainingSystems.com. I offer that coaching service. So go on over there and check that out. So yeah, all right. So the SpartanTrainingSystems.com link is down below. Also down below is the link for Next Level Training for those SIRT guns, the laser guns. I have displayed sitting right there, right, for training at home. And the discount code is also included down below. Hey, do me a favor before you go, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification. You'll know when the next video is coming out, and give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you have to, but you got to tell me why. I've been over this every video I do this, but thumbs up helps me out with the algorithm. Yeah. So that's it. All right. So until I come up with the next series and the next video, meanwhile, be safe out there.